I request everyone to please put your mobile phones on silent mode for a smooth conduct of the seminar. The meeting is being streamed online via Google Meet, so you can ask your friends to attend the same. The link is shared on all social media handles of Gokhale Institute. We'll be having a Q&A towards the end of the session, also requesting everyone to kindly sign the attendance sheet before leaving the hall. Dear all, I, Shivika, welcome you all on behalf of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, Pune, for this special session under our Thursday seminar series. Today, we are honored to have Ms. Harshada Abhyankar as our guest speaker for the session. The topic of today's seminar is balancing menstrual hygiene and environmental sustainability, addressing period poverty in India through sustainable menstrual products. Ms. Harshada is a student of MSc Public Policy at Gokhale Institute. She has completed her undergrad from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. She has done various internships, including those with the Government of Maharashtra, Revenue and Forest Department, and Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. She has recently co-founded Shodh Eco, which is a research initiative to create public policy discussion space and dialogue through monthly public policy meets. But before I call upon the speaker, I would like to request our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ajit Ranade, to felicitate our guest. Thank you, sir. Now I also request sir to please share his thoughts and opening remarks with us.
Thank you, Shivika. Thank you for coming for this seminar. We have, as you know, a Thursday seminar series. Sometimes it's not on Thursdays, but we've been having this tradition for almost 2.5 years now. And I'm very happy that today we have our own person from Gokhale Institute speaking, Harshada. And this is, I think, a project that you've been working on. And this has come out of her own work. She's a master's student. And this is, of course, a very important topic. We also have a faculty member from another university who's doing a PhD on this topic. So thank you for coming. And I don't want to say much because you're a student of public policy. So this has implications for public policy. So you can look at this issue of hygiene or health or women's issues, gender. So there are so many angles, so many lenses to look at this particular problem. You can have the lens of gender, and you can have the lens of public health. You can have the lens of social and cultural values, social norms. And of course, now I learned from our colleague who's doing a PhD that there's also a marketing angle from a business school point of view. That how do you, so therefore the marketing angle tells me that there's also an issue of nudge, that you have to use the concepts of nudge, that if you want to promote a sustainable product, sometimes you have to use this behavioral psychology techniques of nudging. So even if your sustainability considerations purely on cost benefit analysis tells you that this is actually friendly to the environment and beneficial, but still people don't switch the way from a public perspective you want them to. So you have to use these marketing and consumer psychology techniques. So it's a very rich topic. So we are looking forward to, and I encourage. I hope your example will inspire other students, including PhD students, to present seminars as part of this series. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to call upon the stage our esteemed guest Harshada for her words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm really grateful to our VC sir. He was the person who took cognizance of my work and he insisted that why don't you present it at our Thursday seminar series. Thank you so much, sir. I have recently began working in the space when I got an opportunity to present my paper at the sanitation conference which was held in Gokhale in association with Indian Sociological Society. So the studies, as Sir said, is diverse and it comes through different domains. It's not only public policy, it's not only economics, but it has sociology to it, psychology to it, gender studies. Gender equality is deeply rooted in all of this, and at the same time, environmental sustainability. So why choosing this, or what led to inspiration behind this, was that I have been working for past 10 to 12 years in the field of environmental sustainability. And when we talk about climate change, global warming, and small steps that every common man needs to take in his or her own life to bring a change, this is that step which is expected, or I feel that every woman, every menstruator should take in his in her life. So the topic in general looks quite complex, so I'll just explain what period poverty in general means. So period poverty initially was defined when women face problems with accessibility to menstrual products, accessibility to private washrooms, accessibility to water, clean hygienic systems while they are on their period. But now, period poverty has become a wider concept wherein it also talks about lack of awareness among the menstruators and lack of education about what periods exactly are and how you need to tackle them. And as far as Indian scenario is considered, periods, menstruation, all of this has always been a taboo. And the rules of seclusion, which we normally study in sociology, they are applicable in rural as well as urban spaces. A lot of girls are present over here today, and I'm sure when you got your first cycle, when you got your periods for the very first time, the reactions from around you would have been very different. Few of you must not have even known what periods are and how do we look at it. So the taboo which is prevalent not only in Indian society but societies all over the world are manifested very differently in different kinds of settings with different kinds of rules for every girl. So period poverty talks about this. But now when India is going towards this modern age, or when we are looking at Amrit Kal, these are also the issues which we need to look at gender level or at inclusion or at levels of equality. So basic introduction to what menstrual hygiene management is very important when we before we start looking at products and what is the market all about. So menstrual hygiene management has been recognized as a fundamental right by WHO and UNICEF, and a right to sanitary napkin or right to a good menstrual product is a basic fundamental right of every woman, is what I believe in. And emphasizing access to clean menstrual materials. Privacy is very important. When you're tackling issues like menstrual hygiene, privacy is very important. And that's the reason today period poverty also talks about accessibility to clean toilets. If you go through data, if you go through statistics, most of the girls are believed to leave schools once they reach their puberty. The only reason is lack of proper infrastructure in the schools. There are no private bathrooms, or let's say there are no separate washrooms for girls and for boys, and that leads them to leave the schools. And it's preferred, even if it's 5 days a month or let's say maximum 8 days a month, it is preferred that they leave the school forever. So lack of infrastructure is also something that needs to be addressed while we are addressing period poverty. Taboo in India, the way I spoke about, evil spirits, shame, and embarrassment till date surrounds periods and sexual reproduction. So the entire narrative of purification, impurification is all around menstrual health. And the entire notion that a woman is impure while she is on her period is something that India needs to tackle first. And then we need to go which products to be used and how they can be penetrated through the society. The rules of seclusion are practiced in rural as well as urban areas. Even today, we have houses wherein the girls or the woman who is on her period is told to step aside for those 5 days. She can't do her daily chores. She is expected not to touch anything in the kitchen. She is expected not to live a normal life. And even if you have seen movies like Padman, which did try bringing a revolution that something like this can be showcased on a big screen, the initial narrative started with where his wife is secluded from the normal household. So these are the narratives which we need to address. But at the same time, if we are successful at building a counter narrative to this, then we will be able to bring in the change. We also have to understand that this struggle, this battle is not only about bringing innovation, bringing the aspect of environmental sustainability, it's first about changing attitudes and mindset. And what we need to realize is even if period is gender specific, the problem is of the entire society. It's not only the women who are going to tackle it, it's the entire society which is going to tackle it. If a woman faces a problem, the men around her are going to make her comfortable enough that you can deal your problems in an open environment. So I'll be presenting few statistics. While we come to this subject, the only government database with authentic primary survey that is available is National Family Health Survey. Currently, the sixth cycle of National Family Health Survey is going on, and this data which I have represented is from the fifth cycle. The data is available as open source and comes in all forms. So I have just tried putting it up into graphs. The first one talks about types of menstrual protection used based on years of schooling completed. Now, the entire data set has a lot of questions which are being asked to individuals. We also have to realize that National Family Health Survey takes place in clusters. It's not an exhaustive survey, it has a limited sample that is considered, but all maximum regions of the country are covered under the survey. And what are the products are they considering is cloth. So cloth is something which has been used traditionally in India, but today I'll make it very clear that I'm not here to promote that go back to using cloth. I'm basically here to suggest that how cloth can be used in a better manner and how can we make it sustainable. Second thing is locally prepared napkins. Third one is sanitary napkins, the normal ones which we usually see nowadays in TV commercials, Stay Free, Whisper, all of this. Third is the green ones are tampons, then menstrual cup, other. Now the thing is, the survey says others. I was really surprised with what other products are available in the market, and then I did a research and I read through few articles. Some of the articles suggested that women are into using newspapers, husk, sand, with a notion that this will help for better absorption. And what was very disturbing is use of sand. Sand is something which is in at least in urban setting we won't even think of. So materials like husk and sand are believed to be better absorbents and used along with cloth. And lastly, nothing. The purple ones shows nothing. But the best part about this graphical representation is I was very happy with the fact that nothing is almost negligible. Like at least now we have awareness that we need to use something. We have come way ahead of it. But if you see one thing that women who were not exposed to schools at all, any manner of schools, let's say primary schools, Anganwadi centers, secondary education is way beyond, but no schooling, they are 80% of them are still on cloth, because cloth is something which has been told us since generation that during periods use a cloth, but how to use it is something which is not passed on from generations to us. एक घर का पुराना कपड़ा ले लो and you can use it for your period cycle. Locally prepared napkins are now somewhat penetrating because I think work of people like Padman is bringing a revolution that you don't need to go for fancy products. Even locally prepared napkins can suffice. But now, if you see that no schooling, more than 5 years completed, 5 to 7 years, then 8 to 9 years of schooling, 10 to 11, and 12 or more, you will eventually see that the red one, that is sanitary napkins, are increasing as the number of school years is increasing. So that is obvious because with schooling, you are exposed to different ideas and different kinds of products, and you're also exposed to basic ideas of hygiene, what hygiene is. So this is a correlation, maybe at least graphically we can see that with increase in years of schooling, girls are told about what different kinds of products to be used and how they need to be used. Okay, so over here, one thing which I also realized is in the data, this is not that woman is only using cloth for the entire period cycle. They can be switching between options. So that is also a case. Like if you are able to afford only one pad for one cycle, remaining 2 days will be usage of cloth. Yes, not exclude. Yes. So this is the number of years dependent on school and how the preference for products change. Now here I am showing the data based on age groups. Now, when we talk about sustainable period products, I'll just tell you that when we talk about this, sanitary napkins, the ones which we get in the market, are made 90 to 95% made up of plastic. Different kinds of plastic. Then you also need adhesives because you need to stick them. You need different type of resins, and biodegrading these is a big task. If you dispose of one sanitary napkin, I'll show you a table as we move ahead. It will take around 100 to 200 years to decompose completely. So when I say we need to promote sustainable products, right now I'm considering menstrual cup. Again, most of you will have a question that menstrual cup is made out of silicone or plastic again, but the durability of cup is around 5 to 10 years. One cup can be used for 5 to 10 years. Then second product is currently which is coming in market is cloth pads. Usage of properly stitched cloth pads. And third one is a period underwear, which is now an upcoming innovation, not much used, but still it's making it to the markets. Over here, if you see that in there are two age groups. This is age group basically wherein you get your periods and you're exposed to different products. So 15 to 19 and 20 to 24. This is the database from National Family Health Survey again. Over here, 15 to 19, overall the exposure is same for both the age groups, but again the usage of menstrual cup and others which has our new sustainable products is negligible, very low. Menstrual cup is something which is again having its own limitations as far as mindset and attitudes of the people is considered. I have read stories wherein girls are saying that we are not able to use menstrual cup because it is related with the notion of losing your virginity. A lot of girls are not allowed to use it because their moms or their families believe that they will lose their virginity with use of menstrual cup. So first we need to break this taboo and then we need to promote them how menstrual cup needs to be used. There's a very good organization called Sirona Hygiene. They are widely working in Indian rural areas promoting use of menstrual cup and what sustainable period is. So moving on to the next data set, as we go ahead, I'm also going to tell you the cost differences and what is the pricing strategy and what the market overall right now looks like. But type of menstrual protection based on wealth quintile. Now, most of us will be thinking that menstrual cup, cloth pads, all of this is very expensive. Then why not go for sanitary napkins, which are comparatively lower in cost? But if you see, even the ones who can afford buying menstrual cups are not using it. The ones in the highest quintile, wealth quintile, even are using very negligible levels of menstrual cup. So this entire thing builds around what kind of attitude we are carrying with us, what kind of mindsets are we carrying towards these products. So even the waste generated in the highest quintile will be very high because they are the ones using highest quantity of sanitary napkins which are made out of plastic. And in the lowest quintile, they are using more of cloth. But now, when we say that they are using cloth, hygiene is the important issue. I think the one thing we need to realize is modernity needs takers. We have a modern thought that we need to shift to this, but as we go through different narratives and case studies around the world, breaking the taboo in first place is our first step. So menstrual cup, like the way I said, but yes, the ones in the lowest wealth quintile have highest use of cloth. So maybe shifting these women to cloth pads would be easier.
There are products like biodegradable bags, right, which are made out of bamboo and
Hmm.
coconut. So why are we not considering that and why menstrual?
So others in the last slide, the National Family Health Survey doesn't consider this product. This product is also very new in the market and has very few buyers. And when I asked 10 to 15 of my friends that have you ever bought this, none of them even knew about it. That bamboo fibers or even now we have biodegradable pads, at least which is said by Stay Free and Whisper. These companies are also saying that we are using cotton and all of these materials to reduce the quantity of plastic we use, but still it hasn't got many buyers. And even one thing we have to realize, the products also have a lot of convenience attached to it. Using a sanitary napkin is much more convenient than using a menstrual cup, using a cloth pad. So that factor needs to be considered. So now let's come to the point of where are we going to dispose of all our pads, all our sanitary waste. And if you broaden this narrative, this will also take you to usage of diapers by all modern Indian moms. Even diapers come under sanitary waste. And how do we tackle this is a very big question. Now the statistics I'm presenting over here is not only related to India. These are the research papers, articles I have read which come from Western countries as well. So is it that we have not been given any guidelines about how to dispose it? No, that's not the case. The solid waste management rules which have been given by Government of India definitely give us guidelines how do we um, dispose of this waste. Organizations like Swachh, have you heard about Swachh India? They are making a lot of difference. They have started something called as Red Dot campaign, wherein they just want the women to dispose of the pad with making a red dot on it, so that the waste segregators will know that this is the sanitary waste and it can be disposed of properly. But now even the women in India have notions related to disposal. How do we dispose of this? So the first kind of notion is dispose it off away from the community, in community landfills, then in open areas. And also few have this notion that these pads or the sanitary waste needs to be buried deep down. They will take the effort of making that pit and deep burying it down, but the effort of segregating it from your regular waste and just rightly giving it to the garbage pickers is not preferred. Because what will the society say if I dispose it off so openly? The regulations are very much there in place. Incineration has been suggested for disposal of pads, and there has been one project in Pune when Mukta Tilak ma'am was our mayor. She did suggest that I will commission incinerators for disposal of sanitary waste, but somehow the project is not hasn't taken shape or is not that active right now in the city. So, estimated that average use of sanitary napkins by menstruating women generates approximately 14 kilograms of non-biodegradable waste. So, if we calculate, a normal average woman will undergo 450 periods in her life, which is around 3,500 days. And now, if you calculate the number of pads she must be using, it reaches like 10,000 and above, normal ones. So, this is the kind of waste we need to deal with. Disposable pads are made out of 90% plastic, the way I said, and they generate large volumes of non degradable waste. And this is 5,000 to 15,000 pads or tampons in a lifetime. But now, all of this taken together, this is average. Now, also the ones who are exposed to modern ideas of how to deal with periods, they are told that because of hygiene, you may use 3 to 4 pads a day or even more than that. So all of this waste needs to be tackled with. Now these are the kind of infographics which were put forth under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So right now, if you see the government of India's actions which are taken, they are first about breaking the taboo related to period and breaking those myths about what exactly menstrual cycles are and how do we need to look at them. So moving on to what products to be used would be the next step in government campaigning. But what I feel through my research is, or what I would like to suggest as a policy action is, that now since you have taken steps to promote that normalized periods, let's start normalizing it with sustainable products. Because right now the fertility rate of India is around 1.9 to 2, and we are stabilizing with our population, but in the next 25 years we'll still be seeing a boom. So the number of menstruating women in the country is going to be huge. So if we start tackling this at grassroots level by promoting sustainable products in the first place, then we really bring in those 7 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle, rethink, regenerate, and refuse at the grassroots level. So over here, they have the government statistics show that only 64% of women are using sanitary pads now. But now no longer this is only 64%. We really have to think, do we need to reach 100% with plastic based pads, or do we want 100% of them to shift to sustainable menstrual products? So the way I said, how is it disposed of? Where are these pads landing into? So disposed along with routine waste, half of the women. Yeah, so this is something I did try reading about, and unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, but in 2018, all the sanitary products, especially the sanitary napkins, have been made tax free. So now we, with this level of education, will be interested in reading what chemicals are used and what is the impact of those chemicals on our bodies. But if you give it to any woman with average exposure to all of these ideas, she will be happy with getting a pad itself. And what happens down the line 15 years after using a pad is not the story I should consider today, right?
So, from a public policy perspective, are you going to look at taxation and all?
Yes, we will be looking at that. So tampon tax movement was there in India, wherein people were fighting and having movements that GST should not be placed on any sanitary products. And in 2018, we have made it completely tax free because we believe that it's right of the every woman. So now this makes the entire scenario very complicated. Sanitary napkins are tax free, and also under if you have heard about Jana Aushadhi Yojana, under that Yojana, Jana Aushadhi Suvidha Sanitary Napkins Yojana has also been implemented. 1 rupee per pad is being distributed to women in rural and urban spaces. So if we make it this cheap, we are only going to keep promoting sanitary napkins. But if you look at the budget allocation made for buying these sanitary napkins, and which are then given to ASHA workers in Anganwadi centers, in primary healthcare centers, we realize in that same allocation we can also buy menstrual cups. But what we need our efforts to be put into is in awareness sessions, in awareness campaigning. And the first point of contact for this awareness building is going to be ASHA workers in rural areas, Anganwadi centers, primary healthcare centers, and in urban spaces, it's going to be mainstream schools, which will be the first point of contact to bring in this change. So I have been myself using all other products except for sanitary napkins, and it's a part of your habit. Do something for 21 days, you do it on the 22nd day itself. So convenience right now is because they are exposed to only these products. And other products, the cloth pad, which we are talking about, cloth pad is the most convenient one, even more convenient than a sanitary napkin. And cloth pad is a part, can become a part of your routine because washing clothes has been always a part of all Indian households. So you can always wash your own cloth pad. So the convenience is much more in few products. I agree it's not with menstrual cup, but the preference for that convenience is not yet something which is preferred. And overall the packing or overall the presentation of sanitary napkins is more appealing to women also. So this is the table I was talking about. So it talks about the product category, then what is the life cycle and how many years does it take to dispose of or decompose. So if you see, if you use a normal sanitary napkin, it takes around 100 to 900 years to decompose. So maybe next, let's say 6 generations, you use a pad today and it keeps decomposing for next 6 generation of yours. After that, what is the disadvantages? It's one time use. But products like cloth pad, menstrual cup, period underwear, all of this can be used minimum, let's say on an average, for 5 to 6 years. There are a few menstrual cup companies who are saying that you can use our product for 10 years, but in ideal conditions. So 5 years is average. And now we also have a lot of cloth pad variants available in the market. So 800 to 900 years to decompose 14 kgs of waste by every woman. So that's a very huge burden on the environment. And also eventually with the practices of disposing it off and how do we dispose it, it lands up into our landfills, leading to soil pollutions. If we burn it, then it leads to air pollution, toxins, and it's unhealthy for the entire society as well. So now this is a price comparison which I have tried putting forth, and the black ones are the prices of menstrual cups, and red ones are the prices of cloth pads. Now, if you see that companies which are Johnson and Johnson or Stay Free, Whisper, all of this, which are usually popular, they are not seen shifting to these products, not at all, like not at all, but they are coming up with certain products, but they are not advertising them enough. They are advertising their sanitary napkins, which has always been their mainstream market. So now over here, the average price of menstrual cup. So this is sourced from those companies' websites, and if you see that the brands which I am mentioning, P Safe, Sirona, iActive, Namya, all of this are coming in very niche kind of products. So they are not into mainstream manufacturing of sanitary napkins. They all are coming with innovative ideas. Like P Safe is having a very huge impact when it comes to convenience at urinating for women. So all of them are coming up with these kind of products which will take a long time to penetrate the market. But once if you buy a menstrual cup, let's say its average spending of 267 rupees for 5 years. Even if you, let's say, invest on 2, it goes till 550. And if today we go to the market and buy one small packet of sanitary napkins which has around 6 to 7 pads, let's say, the small ones is around 300 average cost, depends on which company you're preferring. So this is the investment. So if we prefer buying this is possible even if government comes up with certain plans, because budgetary allocations are made for sanitary napkins, similar budgetary allocations can be made for this, and sustainability of that scheme.
They can be given away for free.
Yes, free. Because the thing is, if let's say once you distribute a sanitary napkin, there needs to be a consistency in distribution. You just give it once in 1 month, that's not going to help. You need to help the woman in the next month as well. But if you give one menstrual cup after you win the election, it stays for 5 years, you can distribute it at the next election. So you ensure your votes, you also work properly on your budgetary allocations, and you need lesser resources. Every month, the ASHA worker will go to each house, distribute the sanitary napkin, and then promote how to use it. It's better once for all, give them a menstrual cup, teach them how to use it. Maybe there can be multiple campaigns about spreading the awareness, but this effort of distribution is also something that we need to look upon. Because when you place ASHA workers or these kind of health activists in this scenario, you also then have to invest into tracking them. You have to monitor them. If there are any glitches, you need to address them. So all of this can be addressed through sustainable menstrual products. So maybe what as public policy student I can suggest is integration, what we look at. So if Ministry of Jal Shakti comes up with Har Ghar Jal schemes, they can be integrated with schemes like this. So we have had case studies wherein Swachh Bharat Abhiyan did build toilets, but Ministry of Jal Shakti didn't make sure that toilets had water. So we need to bring in integration in any public policy implementation, and this integration will only work when all stakeholders are considered. And if you again go back to what Sirona Hygiene is doing in rural spaces, they have almost educated around 1 lakh menstruators and have given them on a pilot basis menstrual cup free of cost. So maybe if we keep monitoring what they come up with next, we will come to know if this is convenient to use. So the way I mentioned, menstrual cup is 5% to 7% of the cost of disposable pads and tampons over an individual's life cycle. And also the way Sir mentioned, cost per menstrual cycle is also significantly low. It's very low.
So it's environmentally friendly.
Yes.
It's virtually free.
Yes.
And it's never used anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Well, because again, the notions which we come up with. And I don't know if it's again fortunate or unfortunate when a girl needs to choose what kind of product she wants to use. Why is everybody else around her telling what you should use? She should be the one. So we also need to realize that these notions are very much driven by patriarchy in the society. What will be used by whom is told by a lot of people around us, and we are never given that freedom to make a decision for ourselves. I have read stories, I have read articles in esteemed journals and esteemed magazines like Down to Earth, wherein women are expressing that my mom told me not to use a menstrual cup when I wanted to use one. The doctors are recommending menstrual cups because again it's very hygienic, and also I have seen few doctors who are also teaching their patients how to use it. But I think doctors are the last people we approach when girls get periods, because sabko kyun batana hai? That's our first thing which comes to mind. So health activists are also promoting it, but again, we need to train the health activist as well, because we also have organizations which are working very proactively to promote use of sanitary napkins. So we are building a counter narrative to don't use sanitary napkins, but then we also have these movements coming up wherein go for sanitary napkins. So these are the suggested policy actions. I talked about awareness generations at school levels through ASHA workers to primary healthcare centers. India has had a lot of experience in building campaigns The way we have eradicated polio from our country, do boon zindagi ke, definitely such kind of campaigns can be built for this narrative as well. India has experience of family planning, and institutes like Gokhale have been very active in family planning and how do we promote family planning or the importance of family planning. So why not have these kind of campaigns for period poverty and use of sustainable menstrual products? Lastly, the budgeting for sustainable menstrual products needs to happen, and if this needs to happen, government needs to consult all the stakeholders working in the space, not only health activists but also the industries which are very primarily working in menstrual product market, and also women in first place. What do they prefer? Active stakeholder management. Also, the self-help group movement in India is strengthening. In South India, if you check, we have a lot of women self-help groups which have been successful enough to give women incomes, and those incomes are definitely enough, I feel, to buy one menstrual cup or one sanitary cloth pad. So, if this process keeps reiterating itself, we will definitely land up somewhere where we have sustainable, eco-friendly period for every menstruator in the country. So I think I'll take a pause here, and I also understand that this is a very modern thought that I am coming up with, because first break taboos about the period and then tell them which product to be used. But my professor yesterday itself in a discussion mentioned that modernity always need takers, and someday if we get those takers, this movement will be easier to be taken ahead. So yeah, I think we can.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Yes,
this,
yes.
if it was not for the cost angle, if it's not for the cost angle, if it wasn't for the cost angle, and if it wasn't for the environmental negative impact angle, would you still support the use of makeup?
Yes. Uh,
No, I'm saying I'm removing the fact that it is 5% of the cost. It's
Yes.
almost zero compared. So very cheap compared to the other, and then it is also environmentally friendly. So if these two factors are not there, would you still advocate?
yes, I would, because even the effect of menstrual cup on health, women health, is very negligible compared to sanitary napkins. And one more thing about this, there are few studies conducted in the western countries wherein the onus of sustainability lies on the female. Was a research question that why are females always given this burden of adapting to sustainable practices, and why can men just get along with the women who are practicing sustainability? So the research says that there is an intrinsic relationship between femininity and sustainability. So the shift for women towards sustainable options would be easier as compared to men. And why is this so? Because naturally, women have this acumen, or let's say a mindset, wherein they keep on taking judgments for threats around them. In general, let's say any kind of threats, societal threats or emotional threats, anything. In similar manner, they keep scanning for environmental threats. So the impact of climate change, impact of environmental degradation is better understood by women than men, and this is proven. So, causing this shift would be easier for women in this domain, I think.
From my personal experience, when I started using a menstrual cup, initially it was very difficult for me to adapt to it. Adapt to it because it is uncomfortable in the end. You know, the whole day sitting with it, it's uncomfortable. It took me months to get adapted to it. So rather, I shifted to biodegradable pads. So I think that is a better option than, because biodegradable, they are not causing harm to the environment, easily disposable, comfortable, and I think in few years, if there are enough, it will be cheap also. So, like,
Yeah, if it gets a lot of buyers, then it will become cheap. But again, coming to your point of convenience, not to counter it, but it's like wearing a watch, right? Initially, it feels uncomfortable. Eventually, you'll get used to it. It's like wearing lens. I'm wearing lens right now. Initially, it's very uncomfortable. Eventually, once you understand how effective it is and how environmental friendly it is and cost effective as well, you will start getting used to it. But yes, as from olden times, there have been phases of shifting to new products. Initially cloth, then hygienic cloth. Then we told women about you need to wash it, you need to use a new cloth piece every day. Then we shifted to sanitary napkins. Similar manner, the next step can be shifting to a cloth pad for right now, and then land up on menstrual cups.
But like my willingness to do that should be there, right? Because I'm already in pain during periods. Why will I insert something inside me during that time? So rather not. And if you give up during those first 2 months of trying it only, then you will maybe not shift to that product because why would you?
I think numbers are scary. So if you show people what's happening around you with the environment and what you're eventually landing up into, I also agree that we will be the ones saying that why should I do it? Somebody else will do it. But again, that would be a conscious effort we will have to
No,
take.
but I'm saying ki, like rather choose biodegradable pads rather than something that is uncomfortable or something that is causing harm.
Yeah.
I would like to add on this because you are saying about biodegradable. Like this normal pads which are available, they are branded. The moment about you talking about this sustainable pads, they are not yet branded. So people have a trustworthy issue about the recognition or probably the trustworthiness because that is also something which is going to help or affect your health, right? So I will prefer the biodegradable product in terms of pad, but which has no authenticity, which has no trust, which has no brand. They're not yet branded.
Now pads like Noah, they are quite branded.
Still, as compared to Whisper, it is not there.
Yeah, that is it. But that is the thing. Once
So
we
we are the one who will take it ahead. You will keep sharing your experiences, word of mouth, and then you will make your people sensitized about it. So what she rightly mentioned about the influencers are peer and your parents also.
Yeah.
So this all makes a lot of difference.
And I think, as far as society is concerned, right now we have reached a level wherein conveniently your Spotify says stay free ads and your TV shows stay free and whisper ads. It's a long way to go till we promote menstrual cup on commercials. So I think this change, the way she said, will come from your peers, will come from your family. And even for that matter, a lot of research says that biodegradable pads are not 100% biodegradable.
So they just claim that they are.
Exactly, they claim.
As eco-labeling. How do you know? How do you know?
Yes, and greenwashing is rampant in the industry. Like biodegradable pads, even if they are made of 100% plastic, they will say it's biodegradable because the notion of sustainability has a lot of bias. The way,
even the clothes, right? The tag is biodegradable,
yes,
not the
not right. Yes,
talking about awareness, spreading awareness about periods in general or about feminine hygiene and feminine body. Uh, Considering the fact that over the years, the age at when you get your periods is advancing. At some point, women used to get periods when they were 14. Now I've heard of cases when girls are just about 7 to 8 years old when they are getting their first cycle. When even talking about how mentally mature they are, it is not possible for them at that age to grasp the idea of using uh, products such as cups or tampons to use those products. So would you suggest that in the initial years, when the girl is getting used to uh, periods in general or having that feeling that that is coming out or there are certain cramps happening to you, to get used to it, will you suggest that with the initial years they use um, non-penetrating devices and then later shift to that, or
definitely.
right from the start?
Yes. So we have options like now period underwears. We also have cloth pads. If you go and check brands like EcoFame, Sirona, all of this have very good quality cloth pads in the market which need basic washing. And even they promote that you don't need to wash it, just immerse it in water overnight and next day just like you can just wash off it with water and reuse it. So this is the option you can introduce your girls to. This is way more sustainable, environmental friendly than sanitary napkin. And also sanitary napkin in the initial phase will have impact on the girl's health and also basic short term impacts like getting rashes, getting irritation. All of this can be avoided with cloth pads.
I have a question regarding the policy implications of this. we have a lot of industries that are completely focused on one kind of path that you mentioned, and they have a vested interest to maintain that kind of thing. So to have an intervention into this, to make them change. So because you are mentioning it both ways. So in one area you are saying that the regular menstrual plants which are not biodegradable, those are extremely marketed towards women, and on the other end, the adoption rate of the other alternatives is also really low. So, do you think any kind of intervention, especially related to taxation, would that be considered or received well by women? Because you are also saying that it is a public good. So, how do you see tackling this important issue?
Okay, so this is in public policy language a crooked problem which we need to deal with. Design thinking, if you all have heard about. So over here, I mentioned something. There is one report which talks that Indian sanitary napkin market touched USD 521.5 million and is expected to reach USD 975.4 million by 2026. Looking at the fertility rate of the country and number of girls, like the population from 15 to let's say menopause is around 55 average. So the women in that age group is accounting to this much of the industry's value. Now, this value is only based on the companies which are promoting um, sanitary napkins made out of plastic, the regular ones. And the way you asked me that how do we tackle this in a public policy space, the state needs to take this up. So if state takes up the narrative of environmental, sustainable, eco-friendly menstrual products, then these industries will eventually have to make the shift. If you look at renewable energy, let's say renewable energy sector, the states started building on this that we need to shift. And now the shift is eventually seen by few companies. So, in any public policy implementation, even if we say that all stakeholders are important, everybody needs to be consulted, the movement or the initiative needs to come from the state.
That is well and good, but how would that be received? Because
How will that be?
received by women is what I want to.
Okay, initially it will be very slow paced. And one more thing over here, a women.
Is the time right now to go about this, doing this, or do we still need some kind of like 20-30 years for this to develop a little bit more?
I would have been happy if we had 20, 30 years more in hand, but unfortunately we don't. Looking at the environmental degradation we are undergoing right now. So, in this phase of wherein we are dealing with period taboo, introduce women to eco friendly products along with breaking that myth or breaking that taboo. And also, the second thing is when you talk about women community in general, realize one thing that these kind of things will always go through mouth publicity from one woman to the next. So they are the best feedback mechanisms you have in the society. So if few are told about using these products, the next few will eventually land up using these products. Again, the industry is driven by patriarchy because the ones promoting these products are a lot of it. But again, it's very unfortunate that big companies who are into making normal sanitary napkins aren't showing that shift. So women will be the first ones who will help us to make that shift.
So like in other parts of the plastic industry, it is. I mean, the government has taken a different route where through EPR and all, they have made the manufacturers responsible for recycling. Because they say you can't do without plastic bottles. It's just not feasible. We can't go back to the earthware, whatever, pots and so on. There's so much travel happening all around. People are traveling all around the country. They need something to carry the water with them. Not everybody can afford a steel and a copper bottle, so they will have to use plastic bottles. But there they have taken a recycling route and put the responsibility on the manufacturer to do the recycling, collection of the thing and then recycle. Is that sort of a solution more viable here, where you do put the responsibility on the manufacturers for recycling all these sanitary napkins, and then allow them to make them as many as they want?
So this is very complicated because first of all, this is sanitary waste. Making those water bottles reach back the manufacturer and they taking the responsibility of recycling is easier compared to sanitary waste. We already have certain rules in place, but again, this is an issue which may be addressed later on, which doesn't need a public addressing, and that's the reason we are lagging in policy implementation. And second thing, right now producers have taken responsibility of responsible disposal. So if you check the current sanitary napkins in the market, you will realize that the packaging which comes along with the napkin is designed in a certain manner wherein you can dispose of the napkin properly. But unfortunately, again, the lack of awareness, half of the girls don't know that that needs to be used for disposal. So right now, only the responsibility of disposal is on the companies, but eventually we can make certain rules which will give the producers responsibility for recycling as well. But again, campaigns like Swatch or making the provision for incinerators. So government also says that you can have small localized incinerators, area specific for disposable of sanitary waste. But again, this is a policy lag, a policy delay, and something which can be looked into later on. So, yeah.
So even in the whole PET recycling, plastic bottles or whatever, it has been a long journey.
Yes.
No, it has taken the government and the industry almost 10-15 years, where initially the percentage of recycling was very small and then slowly they increased it, and today they have almost made it mandatory where today you can recycle bottle to bottle. So a plastic bottle can be recycled, and of the same material you can create another plastic bottle which is equally good. No cancer causing elements, no nothing. Yeah. So bottle to bottle recycling has come in. And I'm sure this will also take another 10-15 years
10-15
for
years to
recycling
ideate
to
it,
reach
yeah.
that level. Technology has to develop, it has to spread out.
Yeah.
But is that a route which you at all recommend, or you are just saying that no, we have to just junk sanitary napkins and go to something?
I think I prefer the second one. When we have better options in the market now coming up, I think that shift is important. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope you. Oh, sorry, you have a question.
So, you have been suggesting that we should shift to menstrual cups. Now, if you think about how the shift in the society has to come in, like Indian women are still in the rural parts of India, there is still a prevalence of women using ash or cloths that are not hygienic. Okay, so the shift is still completely not even to the sanitary pads yet. So, if you are suggesting to go to menstrual cups, and you are saying that we do not have time as much to shift to to for a not to suggest something else, but you will be that we should shift to a more sustainable part. So, do you not think that cloth pad that would be more sustainable? So, should we not focus more on the cloth
Yes,
and
of
can
course.
menstrual cups here?
For rural spaces, we can always focus at so menstrual cup and cloth pads can go together, and whichever is convenient can be used. And for women, especially in the rural places areas who have been always acclimatized to using cloth as their product, shifting them to cloth pads would be easier than shifting them to menstrual cups. So definitely, menstrual cloth pad can be the first phase gate for that shift. Thank you so much. And I think this was thought provoking enough, and you can go back and keep reading more about it for yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you for your enlightening words. So, basically, menstrual health and hygiene are intricately linked to environmental issues, climate change, and sustainability. Overall, it is vital that sustainable menstrual health and hygiene efforts understand that unique circumstances that each individual faces. I would like to thank each and every member of the staff and faculty for making this program a success. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our audience for the engaging session. Thank you so much.